Welcome, everybody, to Rebecca Over 60. And today I'm interviewing Jane Seskin, who wrote a book of short and humorous poems about aging. And it's called Older, Wiser, Shorter: The Truth and Humor of Life Over 65. And Jane is a licensed clinical social worker and has written 13 books, as well as nonfiction articles and poetry online. Many have been published in Cosmopolitan, Woman's Day, and the Metropolitan Diary column in the New York Times. And she's also a practicing psychotherapist who counseled survivors in the Crime Victims Treatment Center in New York for 20 years. So welcome, Jane.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm glad to
Yeah.
be here.
So I was telling Jane I read her poems and completely related to them, and it was just really exciting to read them. I mean, it was just like, yeah, that happened to me a lot. And so I wanted her to start off by reading one of them, at least just to give you an idea of what they're like, because they're fun and will really tickle you, I think.
I hope so. I hope so. This is a poem that's called I Know I'm Older. I know I'm older because I wear my glasses to shop the supermarket. The mail carrier calls me kiddo. I'm angry at the airbrushed covers of ARP magazine. The new coffee mugs are chosen for weight, not design. I sometimes take the disabled ramp rather than the stairs. All the TV anchors are younger than I. Bathroom locations are researched before starting a trip. Benadryl is used for sleep instead of for allergies. The waitress asks me, "What will we have for lunch?" I answer, "I'm not sure what you'll have, but I'll have the Cobb salad." That is what it feels like being older.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, you just hit so many different topics in your poems. It was just great. I'm still trying to figure out what the airbrushed art is. I
Oh, the AARP magazine?
no, I
They
get
airbrush,
that, of
yeah,
course, but
I think they airbrush the pictures so you don't see anyone with wrinkles or
oh,
any kind of disfigurement, because we all must look gorgeous and wonderful to be on the cover of a magazine. Hey, 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 ARP, get real.
yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. I love that. So what inspired you to start writing a book of poems on aging?
I think I write poems. I write poetry, and I started writing poetry about 40 years ago because it was a very fast way to capture what I was feeling and experiencing. And I think through my life, I've written about being single after my husband died. I've written about the work I did as a clinical social worker dealing with battered women. And when I retired, I started writing about, hey, I'm getting older. What does it feel like? I wanted to witness my own aging. And so that's why I started writing about things that we may experience, but we don't seem to talk about. And that to me is a sadness. And that I wish women would be able to be more vulnerable with each other and talk about the things that are troublesome so we could connect.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm right with you there as far as like being single. I actually lost two guys to cancer.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like,
Oh,
okay, I'm done with that now.
we're also talking about loss as we age.
Mm-hmm.
The
But
loss of people in our lives, the loss of things we were able to do and we no longer are able to do.
oh yeah, that's so true. I mean, just everything about like, how you walk, how you worry about falling all the time. I noticed that you had that in there quite a bit, and it's so
Yes.
true. I'm in Los Angeles, so I don't have to worry about black ice, but even still, there's always something.
Thank you. Thank you for saying it and for knowing that you read it. Yes, we have black ice. We also have uneven sidewalks.
Well,
And
we have a
so,
lot of those because of the
do you? Okay.
earthquakes, right?
So, what you're going to do is learn how to scan the sidewalk. You're going to acknowledge the problem, which is the sidewalk. You're going to accommodate, which means we're going to acknowledge that we have to scan and look ahead of us around 5 feet. And then we're going to accept that this is where we are at this moment in time.
Right. Yeah. It's something we don't want to have happen,
Yes.
but for any reason. I also, it was interesting too, you wrote your own sort of obituary, which
Yes.
was cool. I like that.
This came about because I was standing on a corner waiting to cross the street, and I saw a friend come by on a bicycle with a red helmet. That's who she was. She was an architect. She was in my women's group, and she was riding her bike with this red helmet. A year later, she died unexpectedly. And I went to the funeral and I heard all these people speak. And she was a wonderful woman, and lots of wonderful things were said. But Rebecca, no one talked about her red helmet and her love of bike riding. And when I thought about it, I thought, what is it I want people to know about me? What is the legacy that I'm going to leave behind? What are they going to say? And so I sat down and I really just listed all the things I wanted people to acknowledge about what my life had been like. I love that poem. I love the book.
Yeah,
love
no,
the
I
poem.
do too. I was, I just couldn't stop reading it, really. I
Good.
read it all the way in like really in a short amount of time, but it's like something I would want to share with my
Yes.
friends and stuff because I think that they could totally relate to it too. Just all these little things
Good.
about aging. I think the only thing I didn't notice was the chin hairs, like that's one of my problems. That's my nemesis.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you want your readers to take away from your collection?
I think I'd like them to take away that we persevere, we are persistent. If we get knocked down, we get up. We try hard to have a sense of humor because you need one as you age and as you discover your own frailties. And that we really pledge allegiance to ourselves.
Right.
We honor ourselves. We validate ourselves. The vows that are at the end of each chapter, to me, are the commitments we make to ourselves. And that to me is important, that we are saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is my intention for today or for this week or for this year. And this is an affirmation I want to be able to say again and again and again until I have internalized it.
Right. And I noticed that you had written a vow, and
Yes,
then at the end of the book, you had a space where people could write their own vow. Talk
yes.
about that a little bit.
I think about myself because, again, this is a book of my self-discovery, which I hope resonates with other women. And the vows were important in terms of the intention. The vows at the end of the book that I hope people will write in on their own are about what is it you wish for yourself? What do you wish for yourself? Do you wish that you will be kinder every single day? And it might say, I will be kinder to everyone I meet today. Does it say something like, I'm going to really, really take advantage of all that is in front of me? I'm going to only eat things I enjoy. I'm not going to eat any more things that I don't like. It is like I came to the conclusion a couple of weeks ago, why am I finishing this book when it is boring? And I thought to myself, Jane, you don't have to. You can vow to close the book that's boring and read something that's interesting. May I read a vow?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love it.
This to me was an important vow. So I will ask for what I want and need with the knowledge I may not get it. Truthfully, it's about me being able to do the ask. And I think that's very important for us as women to be able to ask of anyone, anything, and be able to say, okay, I can't get it, or you will not get it for me, or you will not help me get it. But maybe there's another way I can go around this and still get what I want. So it's going a little bit deeper and trying to understand what I want, what I need, and how to get it. Because that
Yeah,
to me is how we grow.
that's true. Yeah, I like that because a lot of times people are afraid to ask.
Yes, yes.
They just
There's
keep
nothing
it
to be
things to
afraid of.
themselves and just kind of tolerate whatever is going on.
Right. And I think the thing is, we are too old at this point. I am too old at this point to tolerate. I will not tolerate. That could be a vow. I will not tolerate bad behavior. I will not tolerate rudeness. I will not
Hmm.
tolerate God knows what else, but I'm sure there's a long list I have about toleration. But what
Yeah,
is it we are willing to stop?
yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I like that a lot. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you found in aging? How do you cope with that?
I think maybe the biggest challenge is my joints. I never really thought about my joints, honestly, but I feel my joints and my age when I have walked too far. I make it a point to go outside every single day and walk. I'm not terribly athletic. And so walking for me is my athleticism, my sport. And even if it's just around the corner, around the block, to the supermarket, I will do that because I think it's important that we go out each day and we participate in life and we see life and we look at people and we say, hey, nice tie or pretty jacket, that we're engaged in what is happening around us. So I would say that probably the new physicality where, oh my gosh, I come back in and my back hurts me, or oh my gosh, I never knew my knee had feelings and could be screaming at me after going to the farmer's market. So yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I am troubled by at this moment in time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know I'm 70 and I love to go walking too. I mean, that's pretty much been my main sport as well. But I was
Yes.
really trying to do my, 10,000 steps and everything. And then,
Wow.
well, I was. And then all of a sudden, it's just like I noticed, okay, my knees are tweaking. Actually,
Okay.
I had gone to a wedding in Cabo San Lucas because my daughter got married there.
Oh,
And there were just all these steps going all the way down to the ocean. And I swear, when I came back from there, I think my knees had really taken a beating. And so now I'm just, I make sure to get out and walk, but if I
good.
don't make my step goals, it's more like half of those step goals. I feel
Excellent.
like I've accomplished something.
But that's it. It's the accomplishment. You went out, you did your walk. That is what it was for today. May not
Yeah.
be tomorrow. Tomorrow may be better. But today you were out and you were pursuing what you wished to do, which was walking. I say, yay. I think the other thing is to be able to yay ourselves, to
Hmm.
be able to say, hey, Rebecca, you did well today, or Jane, you did well, you did okay. That
Right.
is enough. I think we don't need to be striving for perfection. It is good enough to be good enough.
Right. And moderation is good anyway, I think, for anybody.
Yes.
The more if you overdo it, you're going to end up hurting yourself. So
Yep.
why
Yeah.
do it? Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So what have you gained personally in your journey to self-discovery?
I think I have gained one, I love to write. So I'm doing something I'm very happy doing. And if you can believe it, I love to edit. So I am, so sometimes a poem will take me perhaps 10 edits. And I am very happy. And it will take place over time. I will look at it, I will put it in a folder, I will walk away from it, I will come back to it, I will take it out again. It is the playing with words. It is deciding what sounds good, what does not sound good. So that gives me enormous pleasure. Reading gives me pleasure. Being with friends gives me pleasure. And being able to laugh, enormous, enormous pleasure. I don't think we do it enough. I don't think I do it enough. At this moment, I do it quite frequently because I think the world is a very laughable place at this moment.
Right. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so I engage in that. I also think it's important that we advocate for what we believe in. I believe in nonviolence after being a social worker in the environment where I was in a hospital setting. I think it's important that we stand up against rude behavior, for nonviolence, for communication that is kind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to bring kindness back. It's kind of gone
Uh,
out the window
Sideways.
here.
You got it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, no, I totally believe in that. So you were a social worker for a long, long time. And when did you actually start writing? And have you always done that?
No, that's a great question. I didn't. I wrote because no one said I couldn't write. So then I started writing the poems after my husband died. Then a chance encounter at my father's law practice, where there was a man in an office next door to him who was visiting, who turned out to be a publisher of Mad Libs, Tall Fellow Press.
Oh,
And
yeah, I love
for
those.
some, yeah, and in some fashion, my father said to him, Jane writes poetry. It's very funny. It's about this, it's about that. And he said, let me look at it. And he looked at it and he said, I want that book. That was 1974, 40
Oh,
years ago. So
yeah.
so it was amazing. It was really amazing because I didn't set out to be a writer. And I wrote after some of those poems were placed in Cosmopolitan and Woman's Day and other places in Glamour. I wrote and I was somewhat successful for 15 years.
Mhm.
And then I was on a book tour for a book about aging. And I was in Miami on a radio station where someone called in and asked a personal question. And I answered. I left the radio station. I got in a cab going to the airport. And Rebecca, I can still see it. I was thinking to myself, you have no business answering people's questions. You are a writer. You should not be doing this, Jane. You are not to be doing this. So I got home, and within 2 months, I thought, if you like observing people so much, and you really think you have something to say after all these years of observation, you should go to school and you should learn to be a social worker or therapist. So
Mm.
in these 2 months, I applied to one school, Hunter School of Social Work. I was accepted, and there I was. I was the first internship was at a day treatment program for chronic schizophrenics. And
Oh,
my
wow.
second year internship was in an analytic institute. And I thought, this is what I wish to do. And so I did do this for 20 years. And then in 2006 said, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go back to my first love, which was writing. And I
Mm.
have been a happy camper since. I was a happy camper when I was a social worker, and I still have a small psychotherapy practice. But basically, I am in love with the writing, and I'm in love that I wrote what I think is a good book. So I'm happy. You made
Yeah,
me
no.
happy. You made me happy by asking that question. That was a good question.
Oh, thank you. Well, I feel sort of the same way. I've been like a voice actor for 40 years.
Oh,
But then, I always had to, because I lost people that, made it difficult to live in Los Angeles, I always
yeah.
had to do something else. And I also had two kids to take care of. So I started blogging and I
Oh,
started a couple of I have two blogs right now.
okay.
Actually three, but one
Wow.
one main one, which is called babyboomster.com. And, I found it to be so creative. So I had taken like a magazine writing class, but I really found that it's hard to do both. Like, so to focus on both because they're a little bit different. Yeah, I've been doing that since like 2008, actually, doing
Wow.
blogs and doing that. And it's just been a really nice creative outlet for me. So I understand that.
But also, I give you tremendous respect for keeping up 3 blogs. I think that's fabulous. You are writing.
Yeah, Baby Boomster is like a blog for active women over 50. And
Okay.
then I have an LA travel blog because I love to get out and go places, but
Oh,
it's really difficult sometimes to go, abroad or something like that right now.
yes,
So
yes.
I just decided that LA was a world in itself. So
Good.
and that's where I get a lot of walking in too, because I'll take myself out just to check out like a quirky neighborhood or something like that. And I'll, get a nice walk in while I
Mhm,
do it.
mhm. Very good.
I just thought that the book was so much fun. What else would you like the audience to know about you?
That I love jazz,
Oh, that's
that
right. I remember I
I
read
do.
that.
I
Yeah.
love jazz, and that, what else? I have never met a piece of bread I didn't like or wouldn't try.
I
That
like
what
that too, except that I discovered that it was making me bloated, so I've been trying not to eat wheat, and it's so hard because I love a great piece of sourdough.
Me too. Me too. That's really my favorite. Very good. Very, very
Yeah.
good. And I'm supported by a really great group of friends. And I think
Mm.
that is very, very important. The idea of connection and of community is very important to me. And I would hope to other women in terms of building their own communities.
Yeah, connection is really, really important. I got lucky and ended up in an ADU. It's like a house with a house right next to it on the same
Oh,
property. And so there's three of us living there that are all in the same age. And so we're sort of like golden girls, I guess.
love it. I love it. That
Yeah,
is
it's
that is like a built-in community that you just tend to. How lovely.
well, it is because, I've moved so many times in LA that, people are like way across the city or whatever. And I know that in New York, it's all,
Yes,
are you still in New York?
I'm in New York and I'm in an apartment house, very, very big apartment house. But I have to say that just by saying hello in the elevator, in the
Hmm.
lobby, out on the street, it is a community. Going to the library. I am a library goer. Going to the library, making friends with the librarian, being open to the experience of people and hearing their stories to me is very important.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
concentrated. I know I had an aunt that lived right off of 7th and Broadway, and it
Mm.
was just
Yes.
just such a nice, it's like everybody knew each other and it was
Yeah.
great. Here it's like you don't even know who your neighbor is half the time.
A way to make friends.
No, it is. It is. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about walking is I can go out and I'll just randomly say good morning to people and
That's it.
some of
They say it
them
back
some of them do, some of them just kind of walk by, but
because you're
it's
saying
like, what's
hello
she
and they're
doing?
probably exactly. This is a crazy lady. Okay, fine, move on. Next person. Thank you very much.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the keys to longevity is staying connected with other people,
That's it.
especially when you're single,
Yes.
because that can be really difficult.
Hmm. Hmm. So
I'm
these are
actually
the
liking
people,
it though.
yes, and these are the people around us who buoy
Hmm.
us up when we are having difficulty and who are supportive when things are going well.
Hmm.
But I know what you're saying in terms of being single. I like my quiet time. I'm very much engaged in the quiet time, in the reading time. I
Hmm.
think that's also very important and really nurturing.
Yeah, I can't say I'm as good about that. I haven't been as good about that, but I'm an avid TV watcher.
Okay. Well, you're
But I try
engaged.
to watch quality stuff. I
Okay.
think it's just my different learning style or something.
Absolutely, it could be. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been really wonderful. So I hope that everybody out there gets this book because I know that you're really going to enjoy it like a
Thank,
lot.
thank
I
you,
really
Rebecca.
think so.
It was a
Yeah.
pleasure spending time with you.
You too. You're wonderful.
Thank you very much.